Welcome back to Nordic Arms and History. Today we're going to be giving an overview of the Norwegian Krag-Jørgensen bayonet, highlighting the differences between each model. On the table here we have everything from the 1894 model all the way down to the 1956 conversion. Without further ado, let's take a look. Here we have the first model of bayonet, the 1894. This bayonet was initially based off the Danish model of 1889, as you can see here, but it went through several modifications during trials to become what you see here today. A little over 101,000 of these were produced before it was replaced in 1916. Of those, 29,000 were manufactured by Steyr in Austria and about 2,000 by Husqvarna in Sweden. These bayonets are identical to those produced by Kongsberg, with the only difference being the markings. As you can see on the table here, I in fact have some Steyr ones here and some Kongsberg ones. I'll be going more into the markings in the deep dive video, so look out for that. The reason for the outsourcing of production was that the Kongsberg weapon factory could not handle the full demand of bayonets, as they were prioritizing rifle production at the time. The bayonet production really started to pick up around 1897 to 1898. I'm now going to show you guys how the bayonet works when it's in the scabbard here. As you can see, it's right now locked. To unlock it, you just press this button right here, pull out, and it'll unlock from this hook here. As you can see, the bayonet is really simple in design. However, this button does have a dual purpose, and that is to unlock the locking mechanism for the rifle's bayonet lug. Before moving on to the next model, I'm now going to show you how this bayonet fits onto the rifle. Let's take a look. I have my Steyr Krag here. Let's take a look and see how the bayonet actually attaches onto the rifle. The procedure is quite simple. You remove the bayonet from the scabbard by pushing in the button. You can see the bayonet locking lug here, or the bayonet lug. All you have to do is push the button in, hold it in, slide it over until it goes all the way in, and then release. This way, it will not fall off. To put it back, or to remove it, you just do the opposite. Push the button in, pull out, and that's all. Now let's take a look at the next bayonet in our overview. Next in our overview are the long Krag bayonets. These were introduced to address the reduced bayonet range of the M1912 carbine, which was 12 centimeters shorter than the standard rifle. To compensate, a longer bayonet was tested in 1912. Essentially, it was a lengthened version of the M1894 bayonet, but with two grooves running down the blade, as you can see here. However, only 35 of these were made. The two grooves ended up weakening the bayonet too much, so in 1913, the bottom groove was removed, as you can see here. Around 3,000 of these were produced for the M1912 carbine. By 1915, further testing led to an improvement in the design, having the groove stop before the tip to increase the bayonet's penetration power. As you can see here, it doesn't go all the way to the top, it stops right here. Originally, these bayonets were only meant for carbines. However, the experience of trench warfare during World War I convinced the Norwegian government that a long bayonet was necessary for all rifles. As a result, in 1915, during the trials of the 1916 bayonet, which is this one here, it was decided that both carbines and the existing 1894 rifles would adopt the 1916 bayonet as its standard. In total, about 43,000 of these bayonets were produced before the invasion in 1940. Now, let's take a look at the different Krag bayonets from the occupation period. Next is the German occupation conversions and production bayonets. There are a lot of different versions, and not every single one is the same, so I'm going to try and cover this as loosely as possible and as detailed at the same time to keep it from causing any confusion here. The first one on our list here is the 1894/43. This is basically a German production Krag bayonet, and the way you can see that is the tooling mark right here. It's not the regular crown K. Most had just that as the marking. However, this one has a Waffen-Amp marking right there. I'm going to try and show it a little bit better. Right there, as you can see on the top right there. That stands for, or it has the Waffen-Amp 84, which is the factory mark for Kongsberg Weapon Factory. Now, around 3,300 rifles were produced by occupied Kongsberg. However, a lot of these bayonets and rifles are rougher in finish, as you can see, compared to, for example, a nicer Steyr Krag bayonet. As well, the shape of the scabbard, as you can see, compared to an original one, has been removed and rounded off so that it would match the Mauser bayonet more. They wanted to keep the resemblance the same so that they couldn't really confuse any of them. The next on our list are the shortened long bayonets. These are the rest of them here. The reason why I have so many is there are just so many different variations of them. Many of them were shortened to match the length of the 1894. And some of them had their markings removed, whilst others had them preserved. As you can see, for example, in this one, it has the original serial number, crown K. However, for example, this one, which has the tooling mark here, and has also been thinned out, as you can see, compared to the other one here. And the finishes of these bayonets are very different. And you can even see the bayonet profiles, the tips are different, like this one compared to this one. Now, the finishes are very different between each one. As you can see, this one has bare steel, and the other ones are phosphate finished. And the wood is most commonly a very rough wood, as you can see here. It is in fact uncertain how many of these bayonets were converted. So there's no serious number on how many of these shortened long bayonets were produced. Let's go over to some of the more odd Krag bayonets that I have in my collection that has a lot of interesting backstory to it. Let's take a look. Here we have a very interesting bayonet in my collection. However, it's not the bayonet that makes this special, it's actually the frog. This is commonly known as the Belgian Frog Krag Bayonet. Commonly associated with the Norwegian Legion, which was a part of the Waffen-SS. However, there is no documentation to support that whatsoever, and there are no pictures as of today. So it's normally a common myth that this was either used by some sort of German troop or the Norwegian Legion or the Norwegian National Samling, aka the fascist party in Norway at the time. This frog started its life as a regular Belgian frog. However, it's been modified with a metal plate on the back here, as you can see with these two little tabs. This makes it so that the bayonet will not actually physically go out of the frog. This bayonet in particular, or this frog, actually came with a regular Kongsberg produced 1894 bayonet, so from before the war. However, there are others that have German production ones in them. All in all, a very interesting and rare bayonet, or frog, and has a lot to be discovered on this. I would love to see if we can find or get this documented and see what this really is. Just we know that enough of these have been made that some sort of production run was done. We just don't know how many, and there's not a lot of these that pop up every day. A very interesting bayonet. Let's take a look at the next bayonet in the collection. Here we have another oddity in my collection, this being the knife conversion of the long Krag bayonet, as you can see here. Started its life as a long Krag bayonet, however it was shortened down and given a blade profile. In fact, this blade is sharp. Many believe this to be a German combat knife conversion. However, there's no documented case of that, and there is in fact documentation of a different sort for this. In fact, the Sarpsborg-based company called AS Borregaard ordered 200 of these from Kongsberg in the late 40s. And this was to cut cellulose and paper. However, 200, not many of those, there's not a lot of them around if it is true. And there isn't, again, a lot of documentation other than that order of 200 knives. So many people believe this to be a combat knife. I would probably lean more towards the documented case. And you can see, in fact, that this one does have a German scabbard. Now let's take a look at the Swedish Exile Krag Bayonet. Here we have a very interesting bayonet in my collection, being the 1944 police troops. Now, if you do not know what the police troops were, I'll give you a quick overview. It was a secret army that was being trained by Sweden during World War II. They were primarily built up by Norwegian refugees that crossed the border legally, and they were then conscripted to the police troops. Now, this bayonet was produced because the bayonets that were surrendered to the Swedish government when the Norwegian troops crossed over the border burnt down in 1941. The storage house that had them all burnt down. And the Norwegian government then decided to order new bayonets to replace them. And this is what we got. It is originally a Swedish 1914 bayonet, as you can see right here. You'll see the similarities. and is a very interesting design. As you can see, it is a very thick blade, and you can see the way I removed it from the scabbard is just pressing this button here, a very simple design. And you might notice that this bayonet is in rougher condition than what you might see normally of this bayonet, and that is because only the first 1,000 out of the total of 4,600 of them were in fact fielded. So this one has in fact been used and fielded by a soldier. That's why it's in rougher shape than it is today. And don't be fooled. All the other bayonets were in storage and they're in immaculate condition. So be careful and don't fall for the trick of overpaying for a bayonet like this. It's in fact better to have overpay for a lower serial number one, like this one here. All in all, probably my favorite bayonet. A very interesting design, and it fits onto the Krag very nicely, and I think it looks very nice on the rifle itself. Let's take a look at the final bayonet in our overview. Here we have the final Krag bayonet, the 1956 M1 carbine conversion. All in all, 31,000 M1894 and M1894 43s were converted to this format. That was so that we could have enough bayonets for our M1 carbines. As you can see here, the bayonets were reblued, as you can see here. A ring was brazed or soldered on so it would fit the M1 carbine's barrel. There was a milled slot here, as you can see. And there was a slight or heavy modification of the locking mechanism. This one also has a weird X inside here. I do not know what that means. However, it's just interesting that it's there. The scabbard also had some modifications. As you can see, they went away from the leather frog and in fact did a pistol or web style frog with a US pistol belt style attachment point. As you can see, just a plate that was milled away and then screwed back on here. A very interesting bayonet. It did in fact reduce the amount of original bayonets by quite a lot, and very many rare bayonets have been converted to this. I have seen double and triple digit bayonets that were made into this, which is quite sad to see. However, that is how it goes when it comes to history. They didn't mind that at the time, so we shouldn't either. Now, just so you know, this is in fact the cheapest bayonet you can get out of all the Krag bayonets, at least here in Norway. So keep your eyes out for that and watch out for people trying to overprice. Alright everyone, I hope you enjoyed this overview and I hope you learned something new today. If you want to learn more about these bayonets, I will be posting a deep dive on them in the future, so keep your eyes out for that. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to comment them down below. I'm more than happy to answer any of them. And if you feel like the video deserves it, leave it a like. It really helps the algorithm recommend it to more people. And if you want to join this community, learning more about Nordic arms and history, consider subscribing. I want to build a really nice community here. See you all in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.